Hi, everyone. From inside the Fargo Dome, it's the quarterfinal edition of the Bison Media Blog pregame show. Along with Big E, Eric Peterson, and Jeff Kolpak, I'm Dom Izzo as the Bison get set to face off round 2 with Northern Iowa, a spot in the FCS semifinals at stake. The revenge tour continues, Jeffrey, in this Bison playoff tour for 2015. A second shot at Northern Iowa after what was a classic back in October.
It seems like these teams always play a classic, doesn't it? They're
Yes.
just over the years, since Bison came into the Missouri Valley in 2008, it's just been a clash.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just been a physical knockdown, dragout. And when the Bison came in 08, Northern Iowa was the benchmark. They said, okay, they got to match their physicality. Yep. And that's really what happened over the last few years.
I called it yesterday, Big E, the best rivalry in the FCS. We can debate that till the cows come home, but there's no doubt. You called it, we should have like the ladder match out here a few months ago when the first time they played. It will be a knockdown, drag-out affair later today.
Just seems that every time NDSU plays this team, it's the most physical game they play all season. And I don't know how much you can take from that first matchup. Aaron Bailey didn't come on until the second half after Cole Morgan got hurt. Tyvis Smith didn't play in that game. Carson Wentz was at quarterback for NDSU in that game, so Easton Stick's in there now. So much has changed. I just don't know how much you can read in that first game. But what we do know is both teams are pretty hot right now. UNI's won 7 in a row. NDSU's lost 6 in a row. They were both lost the following week, but since then, neither of them have lost. And UNI has that extra win with the first round of playoffs.
Let's talk about how different each of these teams are, Jeff, off what Big E just said. Obviously, the most notable difference, you could just look right at quarterback. Now, Aaron Bailey, he came in the second half, and the Bison couldn't tackle him.
Well, I don't know if they were really prepared for that either, because Cole Morgan was actually getting yards. And if you remember back then, that's when NDSU really had trouble containing the quarterback.
Yes.
I mean, when Cole Morgan, who cannot run at all, was gobbling up yards, you have to question what was going on with the Bison defense. They've shored that up in the last few weeks. That's a big reason for their winning streak.
Now, obviously, Carson Wentz did play in the first game, Big E, threw 4 touchdowns, 335 yards. Does Easton Stick need to have that kind of game for the Bison to win today?
No. And I think if he's throwing it that much, NDSU is probably in trouble.
Yeah.
This team is just different. We've seen it. Easton Stick just gets his yards differently. I think if you're NDSU, you hope he's rushing around 80 yards. If he can pass for maybe 150, sprinkle a touchdown or 2, I think you're happy. If NDSU can play defense like it has the last 5 or 6 weeks, I think that's going to be the key. And it's going to be stopping that running game in Aaron Bailey.
Tyvis Smith is a big key, Jeff, that we did not see in October. Over the last 5 weeks, 150 yards. He's averaging a couple touchdowns a game. He is another basically bowling ball in the backfield to go along with Bailey.
And he's a big guy.
Yeah.
He's 6'2", 224 pounds. Northern Iowa likes those big running backs. Remember somebody named David Johnson, as we've seen in the NFL. You look at David Johnson at 6'3", 230. Tyvis Smith, although not at that level, is pretty close.
He's been unstoppable for opposing defenses here over the last couple weeks. Now, obviously the biggest thing, we don't know what's going to happen until the Bison come out of the helmet a little after 11 o'clock this morning, is if Carson Wentz is going to play today. I'm under the impression he's suiting up. I'm not sure, though, if he's going to get into the game. What do you think?
Well, here's what I'm going to look at. When they warm up, you have the 3 quarterbacks right down here in the end zone, and I'm pretty sure the starter is always the guy in the middle.
Correct.
We'll see if that holds true today.
What do you think?
I don't think he starts. I think it's been too soon. To go through a whole week of practice.
Right.
Now, we don't know, but he had better been playing at a high level by Sunday to really make a go of it today.
What do you make it, Big E? Is it just a smoke screen and it's all Easton all the time?
I don't know if it's a smoke screen. I'm like with Jeff. I don't think he's ready. Even say if he's 100% physically healthy, a week of practice. I mean, you can't come into this game rusty and be off on a few throws early on, because this is going to be a tight game, and you can't make mistakes. So I think you start with Easton Stick, and maybe if you feel Carson Wentz is ready to go, you sprinkle him in later in the game. But I think right now you got to ride the guy who kind of got you here. As crazy it is to say.
But here we are, Kolpak. This is the tail end. This is the 8th week since the injury. So I guess we kind of circled this date since the middle of October when we heard the injury happen.
Well, I disagree with you, because if he's ready to go and he's practicing, he's a senior captain, Dom. You do not bench your senior captain. I don't care how long he's been out. This guy's going to go in the late first, early second round.
That's what we're hearing.
You can't leave him on the bench if he's ready to go.
I don't think you're benching him. The other thing is the 8 weeks is till the injury heals. Right. I've had a broken thumb. I have a screw in it still right now. Once you get out of that, once you get out of that cast, your muscles aren't where they were 8 weeks ago. if your hand is in a cast for 2 months, it takes a week or two to get the strength back. And he's throwing the football. So he can't be at like 75%, 80% muscle strength in that hand. He's got to be at 100%.
So that was that year
strength.
of stories when you were really off, huh? Now we know.
So the 8 weeks is, I think, till the injury heals. I still think there's a few more weeks to get that wrist back into throwing motion.
If the Bison win, maybe next week, do we see number 11 back?
I think you do. I really do. I think if the green helmets are coming out today, right?
That's the thing. Now, Wentz said that if they wear them again, I want to play. You asked Kleiman the question on Monday. He said, we'll see.
And he answered the question. He said
did
maybe.
Answer the question. The other key, before we take our first break, is Darius Shepard healthy for the whole game? You and I both did stories on that this week. Shepard only played one half against UNI the first time out. Granted, it was a spectacular half, including the game-winning touchdown with 35 seconds to go. He's evolved into that old Ryan Smith position.
But that was with Carson Wentz at quarterback. Yep. You have to remember, I think Carson Wentz is a much better quarterback for Darius Shepard as a receiver.
Ball, you're saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think?
Well, I mean, last week Darius Shepard had a chance to make a play on a deep ball. It was a tough catch, a little contested, but it's a catch we've seen him make. Yeah. I mean, you need all hands on deck. And, the first time they played, I don't think guys like Lance Dunner or Chase Morlock were 100%. I think NDSU's offense, other than Wentz, is probably as healthy as it's been all season.
Going to be a great show. Coming up, we'll talk more about Illinois State's game last night. Surprising result there as the Redbirds ousted from the FCS playoffs. Back with more on our Bison Media Blog pregame show from the Dome.
This is your livelihood, and success requires a seed partner that's just as committed as you are. Just like you, we're farmers first, so our values are rooted just as deep and our goals are just as strong. Our team is ready to hit your fields. So no matter what each growing season brings, we'll get through it together. It's who we are. Thunderseed. First in the field.
More plays. More coverage. More sports. Stay ahead of the game. Get your sports fix with Sports Sunday. Sunday nights at 10:35. Sports Sunday is brought to you by Nelson Auto Center in Fergus Falls.
Say goodbye to expensive window treatments and Saturdays filled with dusting. Minn Kota Windows offers blinds between the glass and select window styles and sliding patio doors. With low-E glass, they're even more energy efficient. They're easy to operate, have a clean, efficient look, and control privacy, light, and heat. And the best part is, they're safe for kids and pets. Blinds between the glass from Minn Kota Windows. Midwest built, Midwest tough, guaranteed for life.
Minn Kota Windows, windows for your world.
Where do you go for the latest news in agriculture? Ag Week Magazine. Reaching over 30,000 farmers and ranchers in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Montana. Ag Week provides the most up-to-date information on the markets, the trends, and the people who make it all happen. We're your source for news, not fluff. Dependable, trusted. Ag Week. Subscribe today by calling 1-800-811-2580.
Welcome back, everybody. Bison Media Blog pregame show rolling on here at the Fargo Dome. Jeffrey, the field is down to 6. We'll be down to 4 at the end of today. The stunner, and I'm going to just say it, Illinois State got flattened last night by Richmond. The Spiders go into normal. Illinois State had not lost in 19 straight home games, and they took it to them last night.
I think somebody way back in maybe the 50s or 60s invented this phrase called defense wins championships. We saw that last night with Illinois State. They gave up a lot of yards in the air and big plays, too, big third down plays. Now, Richmond, did they overlook them? Because
I think so, absolutely. Yeah. I really do.
If it's possible to overlook somebody in the quarterfinals, that would be it.
But I think they already thought Big E. They had their ticket punched to the semis and were waiting either the Bison or UNI. I really believe
Why don't you guys give Richmond some credit?
They did play well.
Maybe Richmond just went in there and outplayed them. Is it always, the Missouri Valley team just overlooked them? Well, Richmond came ready to play.
They did.
Illinois State couldn't stop them. I mean, that's what surprised me, just the amount of points. I thought if Richmond was going to win, it would be a back-and-forth close game. And they just, they blew them out of the water. And the other thing that was key, they held Illinois State to like 78 yards rushing as a team. and they made Trey Roberson throw the ball. Granted, he threw for 370 yards, but to beat Illinois State, they did what you have to do. You make Trey Roberson throw the ball.
So Richmond came ready to play. Did Illinois State come ready to play?
No way.
Their offense, maybe. I don't know about their defense.
So they overlooked them.
Yeah.
Well,
Jacoby Green was unbelievable, the running back for Richmond. 137 and 3 touchdowns. That means the Spiders will either host UNI or they'll come here to Fargo next week. And the Bison have to know that, knowing they win today, they get another game here at the Dome.
Yeah, I think the happiest team in America that for this game today is Richmond, because they know the winner of this game is going to probably come out of there a little battered and bruised with Northern Iowa and NDSU. I look back to the history of this matchup. Northern Iowa's 3-5. The week after playing NDSU.
Good stat.
Now the Bison are 6-2, but they also played Missouri State and some weaker teams. It's a tough road after this game.
yeah, but I mean, you're in the playoffs. I mean, part of that is you're in the regular season. Maybe you have an emotional let down the next week. I don't think there's going to be lack of emotion for either of these teams if they end up winning this game.
Jacksonville State won big yet last night as well over Charleston Southern, 58-38. The Gamecocks, Jeff, now that was their 13th game. It's the 8th time they've scored 40 or more points in a game. They've earned the number 1 seed. They certainly played like it last night.
Well, Eli Jenkins is a really good quarterback, and he's really slippery. That being said, Charleston Southern, again, I go back, defense wins championships, Chuck Southern. You got to tackle.
They'll get the winner of Colgate and Sam Houston, and here are the Bearcats again. Remember, they beat Jacksonville State last year in the playoffs with a shot to go back to Frisco.
They're a playoff tough team, aren't they? They just kind of keep showing up. They have the benefit of a nice bracket here now with Colgate.
The Red Raiders, they're going on the road after this is already their 3rd playoff game since they played the first week, as did Sam Houston, who never probably expected to get another home game out of this after they beat Southern Utah in the first round.
It was questionable if they were going to make the playoffs there for a while, correct? And you said, well, the Southland, it's a weak conference, it's a weak schedule, but here they are. The Bearcats are still alive. They just end up, don't they, somehow?
Absolutely. They find a way to get it done. I will say this for the CAA, 4th time in 6 years that they get a team into the semifinals. This Richmond team, you remember, they went on College Game Day. They spoiled it that day when they went and beat James Madison. Nearly put up 60 points that day.
Yeah, they beat James Madison with Vad Lee when they're the number 1 team in the country. So there's something there, Kolpak. Maybe they're not too bad. It's always this overlooked factor, Kolpak. Well, if Sam Houston loses today, does it mean they overlooked Colgate?
Yes. I would
Absolutely.
think so. I would think so. That's the
no
case.
question about it.
For Illinois State, though, this has to be a massive disappointment for them this season, knowing they had everybody back, the coach back, and a legitimate shot to win the national championship and out before the semifinals.
And they had it at home. And you said
Absolutely.
The recipe to get to Frisco is if you get home games, it's a pretty good deal. And Richmond on the road, it was a nice night, so the weather wasn't a factor. But to hold Trey Roberson down rushing-wise and Copperidge, what you say, 78 yards rushing?
Yeah.
Total.
Like one had 38 and one had 30, I believe, if I looked at it correctly. So, and that's the thing. I mean, Roberson had a good night throwing, don't get me wrong, but if you get them out of that run game, and that's when they start wearing teams down. I mean, you can throw the ball, move the ball, but a defense I don't feel gets worn down. Right. You've seen so many Illinois State games where it's either tied or within a touchdown going into that 4th quarter, and those two guys just run wild and they win by 2 or 3 scores. That did not happen at all in this game.
You think this is a flash in the pan, or are they here to stay, Illinois State, now with losing these 2 guys? You never know about their head coach. We thought maybe he was up for an FBS job, but nothing's materialized there.
That's a great question. I don't know how the recruiting is in the younger classes. Now they got to find a quarterback.
Yep.
And the Copperidge is all-time best running back in program history. History says they're one of these programs. Yeah. They're one of these. They go up, they go down. We'll see if they can stay up.
Illinois State back on the Bison schedule in 2016. That's homecoming, actually, next October. We'll take a break. We'll get into the X's and O's of this quarterfinal matchup when we come back on the Bison Media Blog pregame show.
The specialists are so important because they're the ones that can take your team from average to great. The guys that have their specialized roles and understand them and do them really well, those guys are hard to find. And so when you have those guys that are good at what they do and believe in what they're doing, don't care too much about who gets the credit and want to go out and prove something, I think that is probably the most important ingredient in a successful team.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
This is your livelihood, and success requires a seed partner that's just as committed as you are. Just like you, we're farmers first, so our values are rooted just as deep and our goals are just as strong. Our team is ready to hit your fields, So no matter what each growing season brings, we'll get through it together. It's who we are. Thunderseed. First in the field.
When the weather takes a turn, you can rely on WDAY's weather team to give you up-to-the-minute coverage for your area with our weather team's dual-pole radar technology and our Storm Tracker weather vehicle, powered by Kia of Fargo. When you're on the go, check out WDAY's Yourcast app, listen to AM 970 WDAY radio, or visit WDAY.com for even more weather information. No matter where you are, wherever you go, we'll be there with life-saving weather info from your WDAY Storm Tracker team. More plays. More coverage. More sports. Stay ahead of the game. Get your sports fix with Sports Sunday. Sunday nights at 10:35. Sports Sunday is brought to you by Nelson Auto Center in Fergus Falls.
Back here on the Bison Media Blog pregame show, it's Breakfast with Big E. Where are the hash browns? I thought you were delivering that.
Well, I forgot the robe and coffee cup this morning. It was even too early to get that stuff ready.
Well, you turn that shirt to red, you could work at Country Kitchen.
He's always on the wardrobe, isn't he?
Okay, flannel boy. What is that, like a fleece or what?
By the way, I wanted to ask, since Richmond won, are the Spider gears coming out later today for both of you?
I have my Spider jacket. It's cold out there.
Is it going to come out next week if the Bison win? Are we going to see that?
Absolutely. I mean, that's a given.
Let's talk about the biggest keys to today's game. I think, obviously, number 15 in white is going to be really hard to stop for NDSU, and that's Aaron Bailey, the UNI quarterback.
He's a big guy, too. He's 6'2", 224. Here's the key with Aaron Bailey. I think you got to make him throw. And UNI throws for 152 yards a game. That's not really a whole lot. Aaron Bailey is a 54% passer. That's not the greatest statistic in the world. So if you're NDSU, and he's so fast, he gets in the open. We saw that earlier this season. When he gets space, he's gone. I mean, he's big, but he's fast. So NDSU, that is the biggest key. You got to make him throw.
Now, the Bison did pick off UNI a couple times the first matchup, but that was against Sawyer Cole Morgan. But I think Kolpak key is right on, though, Big E, is forcing turnovers, forcing Bailey to try and beat him with his arm.
Well, if you're in Northern Iowa, I think they're going to make Easton Stick try to beat him with their arm, too. So maybe I think both teams are going to have to throw the ball, so maybe who wins that battle wins. Like, who makes the bigger plays in the passing game? That first game, granted, was Cole Morgan. Northern Iowa had hit a big touchdown early in the game. I think Stick is going to have to make a play or two in the passing game if NDSU is going to win, because they're going to stack that line of scrimmage, and they're going to make NDSU throw it, because they're physical and fast enough up front to give NDSU trouble. Now, this time around is a healthy Chase Morlock and a healthy Lance Dunn. Are those guys able to get through some of those creases? Because you're not going to really have holes against this Northern Iowa defense. Nope. It's going to be a crease, and you got to hit it. So maybe the NDSU running game is a little bit better if those guys can get through those cracks, but it's still going to be tough to run.
I also look at special teams big time, Kolpak, because people might forget this. Michael Schmadtke, who's one of the best kickers in the Missouri Valley, he missed what to him is considered a chip shot after that Wentz fumble that kept NDSU obviously alive to win the football game. Cam Peterson missed 2 field goals here last week as well.
That's a big factor. You're talking about Schmadtke. He's a senior, and that's a nice deal to have a senior there. Where did they go to the comp if the game's on the line?
Well, Kleiman said that way back when, that he would.
Do you go with the true freshman, or do you go with the tested senior, even though he's not your regular field goal kicker? You talk about special teams. NDSU leads the country in kickoff return yardage average. I mean, that could be a factor, too. If Schmadtke can't get that in the end zone, Bruce Anderson, he showed last week what he can do.
Yeah, that was fantastic what Anderson did on that. I just watched that for special teams here today, because I think that could be really key if touchdowns are at a premium, if the defenses play like we maybe expect, that who knows that it could come down to a field goal.
Well, we saw it last week, too. Lecomp's punting. He can flip the field. It's going to be a field position game, because I could be wrong. I don't see a
shootout.
Scoring, I think it's the high teens, low 20s type of game, so field position can be huge. And like you said, maybe Ben Lecomte does handle field goals. I think to have him do it throughout the course of a season is just too much. But now you're in the playoffs. If NDSU wins, they only have a game or two left. So I don't think you worry about a kicker getting tired at this point of the season.
I also look at Kolpak that you look at UNI secondary, how experienced they are. Kilfoy is a senior. DeAndre Hall, a senior, with a redshirt freshman at quarterback. How can they exploit that, or how can Easton Stick combat that, knowing that much experience in the back?
Well, that's a great question. I think it's have to be the play-action pass game. I don't think you're going to see a lot of five-step dropbacks and try to go to your whatever receiver you can think in the progression. I think in order to attack on the passing game, it's got to be out of the play-action game.
Going to be fun to watch as we get closer to kickoff. We come back, injury update. Obviously, everyone wants to know about Carson Wentz. We'll try to shed some light on that and some other key players that'll be back for the game. That's next, right after the break.
For over 60 years, our focus has been you. A growing community needs a news source that grows with them. And you found that source in WDAY.
Good evening, everyone.
Our 6 p.m. newscast has been with you night after night. When the city comes to life or when news happens, you'll know. Dana Mock, Kirsten Keeley, out in the community, behind the desk.
It's had no major issues with users viewing offensive materials.
2 anchors you can trust. When the news hits, there's only one source to turn to. WDAY, the news leader. When the weather takes a turn, you can rely on WDAY's weather team to give you up-to-the-minute coverage for your area with our weather team's dual-pole radar technology and our Storm Tracker weather vehicle, powered by Kia of Fargo. When you're on the go, check out WDAY's Yourcast app, listen to AM 970 WDAY radio, or visit WDAY.com for even more weather information. No matter where you are, wherever you go, we'll be there with life-saving weather info from your WDAY Storm Tracker team.
Say goodbye to expensive window treatments and Saturdays filled with dusting. Minn Kota Windows offers blinds between the glass and select window styles and sliding patio doors. With low E glass, they're even more energy efficient. They're easy to operate, have a clean, efficient look, and control privacy, light, and heat. And the best part is, they're safe for kids and pets. Blinds between the glass from Minn Kota Windows. Midwest built, Midwest tough, guaranteed for life.
Minn Kota windows for your world.
The specialists are so important because they're the ones that can take your team from average to great. The guys that have their specialized roles and understand them and do them really well, those guys are hard to find. And so when you have those guys that are good at what they do and believe in what they're doing, don't care too much about who gets the credit, and want to go out and prove something, I think that is probably the most important ingredient in a successful team.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
The Media Blog Injury Report, brought to you by Sanford Orthopedics.
Time now for our Sanford Health Injury Update. You are the man with the answers. Is Carson Wentz going to play today? What's the deal?
I don't think so.
No?
Who knows? Did anybody sneak into practice today? I didn't.
I didn't buy any binoculars, so I couldn't find out what was going on.
Well, we were looking, the bubble is that white Teflon. I was trying to see if it's see-through, and to no avail.
Now, a bigger question maybe is Lance Dunn being healthy, being available. You just mentioned it. He did not play with a hamstring injury the first time out. He's a Waterloo kid. He was recruited by UNI. I know he's going to want to play and play well today.
It can hurt. I mean, let's put it that way. It gives him another option. Dimitri Williams is another guy who's healthier. Any option you can have against a Northern Iowa defense, any little wrinkle, any little special play they may have hidden deep in the playbook to use Dunn's quickness, Dimitri Williams on the perimeter, you're going to have to use it because you cannot line up and run just straight out this Northern Iowa defense and expect to be successful all day long.
I'll also mention all-conference guard Zach Johnson is fully healthy. He was not the first time. He did play against UNI in the first matchup, but him being fully healthy to go. The Bison offensive line is as healthy as it's been all year.
And he's gotten better as the year went on. I think when he came back, the results weren't what NDSU was hoping for, and it took maybe a game or two for him to really get back into it.
2 big injuries for UNI. Adam Reth, who's their starting outside or inside defensive tackle, was tremendous all season long, broke his arm. He is not available. He had 8 tackles in the first game against the Bison. And Robert Rathje, their starting center, all Missouri Valley second team, looks like he's out with an ankle injury. He suffered that last week against Portland State. How big is that now with a backup center against this crowd today?
Well, he's going to have to control Nathan Tangaway and Brian Schatz.
Yeah.
That's going to be a big deal. The backup guy's 6'6", 337. I mean, that's a big center. He's a chemistry major, so it's not like they're throwing somebody who doesn't know what he's doing.
How big a deal, by the way, Deshaun Dexter, starting linebacker, suspended for the first half because of the targeting hit. Is that a big deal?
I guess I don't know how good the guy behind him is. Obviously, it hurts when you go down a starter, but if the guy behind him is good enough, and if he seemed to be more of a pass coverage guy, I think the other guys are more their run stoppers. So I don't think NDSU is going to start airing it out right away. Yeah. So maybe less of a factor if it was Carson Wentz maybe in this game, and NDSU is going to look to throw more. It'll be somewhat of a factor, but I just wouldn't read too much into it just for a half.
The other two linebackers, Jeff, are pretty good there, led obviously by Brett McMakin, who's been just tremendous over his career at Northern Iowa.
And he's such a physical player, too. He's just so tough on the run game.
When we come back, we'll unveil our predictions for Northern Iowa and NDSU as the Media Blog pregame show wraps up from the Dome.
The specialists are so important because they're the ones that can take your team from average to great. The guys that have their specialized roles and understand them and do them really well, those guys are hard to find. And so when you have those guys that are good at what they do and believe in what they're doing, don't care too much about who gets the credit, and want to go out and prove something, I think that is probably the most important ingredient in a successful team.
Choose the experts. Choose Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine.
More plays. More coverage. More sports. Stay ahead of the game. Get your sports fix with Sports Sunday. Sunday nights at 10:35. Sports Sunday is brought to you by Nelson Auto Center in Fergus Falls.
Where do you go for the latest news in agriculture? Ag Week magazine. Reaching over 30,000 farmers and ranchers in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Montana. Ag Week provides the most up-to-date information on the markets, the trends, and the people who make it all happen. We're your source for news, not fluff. Dependable, trusted. Ag Week. Subscribe today by calling 1-800-811-2580.
When the weather takes a turn, you can rely on WDAY's weather team to give you up-to-the-minute coverage for your area with our weather team's dual-pole radar technology and our Storm Tracker weather vehicle, powered by Kia of Fargo. When you're on the go, check out WDAY's Yourcast app, listen to AM 970 WDAY Radio, or visit WDAY.com for even more weather information. No matter where you are, wherever you go, we'll be there with life-saving weather info from your WDAY Storm Tracker team.
All right, it's time for what everybody's been waiting for here on the old show. Time for our prediction segment, where I don't even know what your record is. I know it's spotless, probably, considering you're a great FCS mind. After, we've had farm mode, we'd have houndstooth mode. What are you going to bring out for us today?
Well, it's been repeat mode in this bracket, or rematch mode, and the green helmets are out again, so I'm going to be lazy. I mean, why add? I'm going to be like the NCAA. I'm going to be economical, not add to the prop budget, and break something out again.
Well, the prop budget was stretched pretty thin on that houndstooth Bear Bryant hat last week, so.
Crank up the traffic again.
No.
It's a return to farm mode. I mean, if you're going to win this game, you have to win the line of scrimmage, whether you're UNI or NDSU. And I'll go back to Kopach's story, pump his tires again, is his early season farm system story.
Yep.
Landon Leckler. Hey, Jack Planker's got a carry last week. He's going to use the power of that beard. Guys like Brian Schatz. I think NDSU's got to get farm tough again in this game, control the line of scrimmage, and I believe they will just have enough. And the home crowd, they'll feed off of that. 24-21, NDSU, and what I think is going to be an instant classic.
I do too. I hope for the Bison fans' sake it doesn't stall out like that, Kopach, if that's the Bison rushing attack stalling out. There's the hat is back too. That's good. I'm with Biggie. I think it's going to be a fabulous game. I think the Bison defense, after last week, they played their best game of the season with 4 turnovers forced. I think they make a big one late. I have NDSU winning 23-17.
Do you sit home at night and just put that thing up and down your coffee table?
I brought it back for you.
Fantastic.
Like Kopach sat here the whole last time just he loves this thing.
I do.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it makes for a good Christmas present.
What do you think?
Well, it's gonna be a slobber knocker, as they say.
Whale of a game, right?
A whale of a game. Earlier this week, I wrote a blog post that there's not really equal access for us media types when it comes to Northern Iowa, and I think the head coach just seems like an angry man, doesn't he? When it comes to us, maybe he's friendly in Cedar Falls, but when it comes to us, maybe not so much. But I see this game as NDSU's had such a great run in this tournament. I mean, over the last 4 years, it's been unbelievable, and all good things come to an end. I think when it comes to repeat mode, it sometimes favors the other team eventually. And I see Northern Iowa as the one team that can physically handle NDSU when it comes to the FCS playoffs team. I think NDSU offense stalls today. I say UNI 24, NDSU 10.
Wow, there it is.
Where are all the boo birds, by the way?
That's why he made the pick like that, right? With nobody here.
Yeah, probably. Well, I can understand.
It's the second time I picked UNI, by the way.
I can understand why Mark Farley probably doesn't like you. You're not really a likable guy. You're very whatever, prickly.
There it is. All right, folks, the tractor is in full motion here. Live blog already underway on Inforum.com. We'll be back after the game to recap it all. Should be a fun one as NDSU and Northern Iowa play for a spot in the semifinals. For Eric Peterson and Jeff Kolpak, I'm Dom Izzo. We'll see you after the game.